There's something unsettling happening in the skies right now, and it centers on an airline that for decades was seen as one of the safest and most respected in the world, Qantas. From the outside, passengers still see the kangaroo on the tail and assume everything is running smoothly. But behind the scenes, the airline is under intense pressure, and it all comes down to the aircraft it chose to bet its future on. Before we dive in, if you enjoy deep aviation stories that go beyond the headlines, make sure you like the video and subscribe, because this story is bigger than one airline. It's about how billion-dollar decisions can shape the future of travel itself. For years, Qantas built its reputation on long-haul dominance. Routes connecting Australia to the US and Europe are some of the longest and most demanding flights on Earth. To handle that, the airline relied heavily on giants like the Airbus A380, the double-decker superjumbo that once symbolized the golden age of air travel. It was luxurious, spacious, and impressive, but it was also expensive, fuel-hungry, and increasingly difficult to fill as travel patterns changed. When the pandemic hit, those massive aircraft suddenly became a liability. Borders slammed shut, international demand collapsed, and planes designed to carry over 500 passengers were grounded for years. While other airlines retired their A380 fleets entirely, Qantas made the controversial decision to bring them back. On paper, it looked bold. In reality, it created new problems. At the same time, the airline doubled down on smaller, ultra-long-range aircraft like the Boeing 787 Dreamliner. These planes are efficient and capable of flying incredible distances with fewer passengers. The strategy was clear: fewer seats, lower costs, more direct routes. No more relying on stopovers in Singapore or Dubai. Instead, non-stop flights connecting Australia to cities like London and New York. That vision became known as Project Sunrise, one of the most ambitious plans in aviation history. Flights lasting nearly 20 hours. New cabin designs focused on passenger well-being. It sounded revolutionary, but revolutions are expensive. To make Project Sunrise possible, Qantas ordered the Airbus A350, a cutting-edge aircraft designed for ultra-long routes. The catch: these planes cost hundreds of millions of dollars each, and delays in production have pushed timelines back. Meanwhile, older aircraft in the fleet continue aging, maintenance costs keep rising, and passengers are noticing. Complaints about reliability, delays, and aging cabins have started to chip away at the airline's once untouchable reputation. In an era where travelers share every experience online, perception can change fast. Then there's the narrow-body fleet, the planes used for domestic flights across Australia. Many of these routes still rely on aging Boeing 737 aircraft, some of which are decades old. Frequent flyers have begun pointing out the contrast between Qantas's premium branding and cabins that feel stuck in another era. This is where the pressure really builds, because fleet decisions aren't just about planes. They're about timing. Replace aircraft too early and you burn cash. Replace them too late, and passengers drift toward competitors with newer cabins and better reliability. Right now, Qantas is walking that tightrope while also trying to fund one of the most ambitious expansion plans in its history. And there's another layer: leadership. Former CEO Alan Joyce was known for aggressive cost-cutting and bold strategy shifts. Supporters say he saved the airline during difficult years. Critics argue those same decisions left the company stretched thin, especially when travel demand came roaring back faster than expected. Airlines can't simply flip a switch and add planes overnight. Manufacturing backlogs stretch for years. Pilot training takes time. Maintenance crews must adapt to new aircraft types. Every decision echoes for decades. So now Qantas finds itself in a difficult position, operating a mix of aging aircraft, returning superjumbos, and future planes that haven't arrived yet, all while passengers expect smoother travel than ever before. And the stakes couldn't be higher, because for an airline based in one of the most geographically isolated countries in the world, the fleet isn't just equipment. It's a lifeline connecting an entire nation to the rest of the planet. The question now isn't whether Qantas made bold decisions. It's whether those decisions came at the worst possible time. And that timing is exactly why analysts, passengers, and even regulators are now watching every move the airline makes. Because while Qantas was planning for the future, its competitors were quietly reshaping the present. Airlines in the Middle East and Asia invested heavily in modern fleets during the same period. Carriers like Emirates and Singapore Airlines continued refining their long-haul experience, offering newer cabins, cutting-edge entertainment systems, and consistent reliability. For passengers traveling between Europe, North America, and Australia, those airlines became attractive alternatives, even if it meant a stopover. And here's the uncomfortable truth for Qantas. Once travelers switch habits, winning them back is incredibly difficult. Meanwhile, within Australia, competition has intensified too. Virgin Australia rebuilt itself after financial collapse with a leaner strategy and renewed focus on customer experience. Suddenly, Qantas wasn't just competing globally, it was fighting to maintain dominance at home. All of this pressure collided with a wave of public frustration. Flight cancellations, lost baggage stories, and delays started making headlines. Politicians began asking tough questions. Loyalty members, some of the airline's most devoted supporters, voiced anger about reward seat availability and rising fares. It created a narrative that Qantas had lost its way. But inside the company, executives argue they're playing a long game. Project Sunrise isn't just about convenience. If successful, it could redefine long-haul travel by making stopovers optional for some of the world's longest routes. Imagine boarding a plane in Sydney and stepping off in New York without ever changing aircraft. For business travelers, that's priceless. For tourism, it could reshape how people move across continents. Yet ultra-long flights also raise concerns. Passenger fatigue, crew scheduling, medical risks, and operational costs all increase dramatically as flight times approach 20 hours. Aviation regulators have been closely monitoring how these flights will operate safely and sustainably. Then there's the environmental question. Long-haul aviation faces mounting pressure to reduce emissions, and operating ultra-long routes pushes aircraft to their limits. Qantas has promised investments in sustainable aviation fuel and more efficient aircraft, but critics argue the industry as a whole is racing against time to meet climate targets. So the airline is balancing three battles at once: modernizing its fleet, restoring public trust, and preparing for a future where aviation itself may look very different. And through all of this, one reality remains unavoidable. Airplanes take years to design, build, and deliver. Decisions made a decade ago are shaping what passengers experience today. Decisions made today will define the airline's reputation in the 2030s and beyond. That's why the pressure feels so intense right now. There's no quick fix, no overnight solution, only a slow, high-stakes transition from the past to the future. But if Qantas gets it right, the payoff could be enormous. Non-stop flights linking Australia directly with the world's biggest cities could restore its image as a pioneer. A refreshed domestic fleet could rebuild trust with everyday travelers. New cabins and better reliability could remind passengers why the airline was once considered the gold standard. If it gets it wrong, though, the consequences could linger for decades. Because in aviation, reputation is everything. Safety, reliability, comfort, these aren't just marketing words. They're the reasons people choose one airline over another when they're about to spend 15 hours sealed inside a metal tube at 35,000 feet. Right now, Qantas is standing at a crossroads between legacy and reinvention. A historic airline trying to prove it still belongs at the front of the pack in an industry that never stops evolving. And maybe that's why this story resonates far beyond Australia. It's about how even the most respected institutions can find themselves under pressure when the world changes faster than expected. It's about risk, ambition, and the enormous weight of decisions made years before the consequences become visible. So the next time you see that red kangaroo on the runway, remember, you're not just looking at another plane preparing for takeoff. You're looking at an airline fighting to define its future in real time. If you found this story insightful, make sure you like the video and subscribe for more deep dives into the forces shaping global aviation.